Well, hello again. We are into the week of Christmas now, and so there's only a few puzzles left in the Advent calendar, but you can still join in. All the information is over on Patreon, link in the description, and you'll get all the puzzles that have been posted for the last several weeks, so you can still jump on there and get all those puzzles. You just won't be able to do one a day leading up to Christmas at this point, but you can always do them after Christmas too, so that's fine. I want to remind everybody that we now have a place on Discord where you can go discuss the Advent calendar puzzles in the Patreon section. You can also discuss, there's just a normal channel to discuss anything related to me, I guess. Any of my puzzles, my videos, whatever else you want to talk about, just come on over to Discord and we can chat about stuff. So there's two channels in there that are related to my stuff. One is just the normal channel that everybody can access, and then there's the Patreon one that you have to be a Patreon subscriber to access. So, but there is one for everybody. So, all right, now we're looking at a puzzle today that looks like a lot of fun. I've actually had it kind of on my list to do for a while, and I'm finally going to look at it. This is called Japanese 159, or oh, now see, I looked up and I learned how to say 159 in Japanese, and now it's just right out of my head. It's Go and Q are 5 and 9. Ichi is 1. I obviously do not know Japanese. Ichi, Go, Q is 159 in Japanese. All right. Now you learned something. So this was recommended by somebody, I don't even remember who. It's been several weeks since I saw the recommendation. Somebody recommended this elsewhere and said it was just a wonderful puzzle. I believe they said it was beautiful and, you know, one of the most satisfying solves they've seen, is, I believe, the key word. So I'm excited to try it. It looks interesting. I have only done one Japanese sums puzzle before, and maybe one or two 159 puzzles, not very many, so should be interesting. So the rules for this puzzle are: shade some cells such that the clues outside the grid indicate the sums of the digits in contiguous blocks of shaded cells in the row or column, and blocks have to be separated by at least one unshaded cell. So this is the Japanese sums part of the puzzle, and it's kind of like nonograms, where you're shading some cells and then you have to have an unshaded and then you're going to have some shaded, like that, something like this, right? But the difference is, normally in a nonogram that's telling you how many cells are shaded. So like, you know, the 1 and the 8 would mean you have one cell and then not, and then you'd have 8 cells shaded, which that's not 8. But in this, what it's telling us is it's the sum of the digits that are shaded. So this 11 doesn't say there's 11 cells that are shaded. It's saying wherever the first set of cells are, if it's those 3 or if it's these 3 or whatever, they sum to 11. So you could just have those 2, you know. And you have to have, you couldn't have, you know, 2 cells that sum to 11 and then a 6 right here. There has to be a gap between, it could be a big gap, something like that, it doesn't matter. But that's how the Japanese sums part of it works. Okay, and then the next bit is: digits in shaded cells in column C indicate the column in which the digit C appears in that row. So this is a little tricky to understand, at least for me. This is the 159 rule. So and it's called 159 because I think originally some of the puzzles that use this only applied to columns 1, 5, and 9, but it applies to all the columns in this situation. So what it's saying is, in a shaded cell, so remember we're shading some cells with the sums. So if this cell were shaded, for example, this is column 2, right? So the digits in shaded cells in column, so this is column 2. So if this is shaded and this digit is a 5, for example. Okay, it's not letting me put digits in the grid. I don't know why. Okay, it's working now. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so if this was a 5, for example, since it's in column 2 and it's shaded, this is saying that in this row, the 2, because we're in column 2, the 2 is going to be in column 5. If that makes sense. And then if this one is shaded, this is then saying that the 5 is going to be in column 2, which works out back and forth, right? So that is how the 159 rule works. It's a little bit complicated to understand. So yeah. Anyways, I don't know a better way to explain it. It's just something you have to do a bunch of times. I've only done a couple of these types of puzzles, and I still have to kind of stop and think about how that rule works. So anyways, those are all the rules. Hopefully it's going to continue letting me put digits in the grid here. I'm not sure what was happening. Anyways, all right. So link in the description as usual. I believe from what I've seen, this one is not supposed to be terribly difficult. It sounds difficult because of the rules, but I think on Logic Masters Germany, so it doesn't have enough solves yet to have a rating, but the Hawk Avatar, who posted this, estimates it at a 2 out of 5. So hopefully it won't be too bad. I'm going to give it a try. Link in the description. We'll see how it goes. Reset the timer. So, okay, so 45 here. We know that any row, column, box sums to 45. So we can go ahead and shade all of those. And I'm not sure, it kind of defaulted to red for some reason. I don't know if we're supposed to use red, but I'm just going to go ahead and use red, I guess. So all that really tells us is that these are all shaded. It doesn't tell us much else. But now that we know these are shaded, for the column, they have to be part of the shaded cells that are the sums up here. So, 7 and 30. 37. Total is 45, so we need to have 8 on the outside, but or it could be on the outside or in between. At least one digit has to be in between. But that could be up to 3 cells on the outside. Let's see, are there any others that sum to big numbers? What's this? This is... now this one is interesting. There's 4 digits, same over here, but this one's bigger. So 11 and, let's see, 8, what's that? 18 and 5 is 23. So it's 23, but we have to have 3 digits in between, minimum. Minimum 3 digits in between. Be 22, 20, yeah, 22. Okay, that's not as helpful as I thought it was going to be. Well, but we only have 9 digits. We need, obviously the 1 is going to be a single digit. The 6 could be minimum 1. The 11 is at least 2. The 5 is a minimum of 1. So that's 5 digits plus at least 3 in between. That's 8 already. Yeah, I don't know what that tells us though. Not much apparently. Okay, 8, 5, 4, 3, 4, 2, 5. Now the 3, 4, 2, and 5. So there's gonna have to be a 2 in the grid. In this column, the 2 is gonna have to be just a 2, is what I'm saying. So the 2 is taken up from the column. So now the 3 cannot be 1 and 2. So it's gonna have to be a 3, which means the 4 cannot be 1 and 3. It's going to have to be a 4. And now the 5, since you don't have a 3, 4, or a 2, the 5 just has to be a 5. So those 4 are just going to be single digits, which means we are not going to have shaded cells on either side of this one. Now, we don't know which digit this is. It could be... let's see. It could be the 2 or the... Could it be the 5? 3, 4... Because we have to have 1 in between. So 3 non-shaded, 4 non-shaded is the most you can fit up there. So this has to be... Can't be the 5. It could be the 2. The question is, could it be the 4? No. This has to be the 2. And now it's not letting me put digits in the grid again. What is going on here? Okay. I don't know. I had to close it and open it up again, so the timer reset. I don't know. I'm going to continue on. Hopefully this will work. So this has to be the 2. Because you can't fit the 3, 4, and 2 up here. So this can't be the 5. And you can't fit more than 1 digit down here. So one of those is the 5. We know that. Now, so we've got to have the 3 in one of those and the 4 in one of those. And they can't be next to each other. There's got to be a gap. So it's got to be 3, 4, 3, 4, or 3, 4. Okay. Now what can we do from there is the question. Okay, let's look here. The 7. So the 8 could theoretically be 7 and 1, right? But do we have room for the 5? Yeah, because then no. Because it would have to be 7 and 1 this way. And you can't put the 5 and the 4 down here. So it can't be 7 and 1. Can't be 7 and 1 up there. Because this, you'd have 3 shaded, and this would have to be something. And so I think the 7 has to be unshaded. Because the only way it can be part of one of the sums is if it's part of the 8. So that's unshaded. And again, this can't be the 8. It's got to be the 5 or the 4. But the 5 could be 2 and 3, so we could have 2 shaded cells there. With the 4 down here if there's a gap there. All right, so where else should we look? This 1, 6, 11, 5 is interesting to me because it's going to be at least 8 digits if the 6 and the 5 are singles and the 11 is only 2 digits. Okay, which means the 1 has to be in one of these two. I don't think there's any way, because it's going to be at least 8 digits minimum. So this is as far over to the right as you could have the 1. So the 1 goes in one of those. For whatever that's worth. Oh, we got to remember the 159 rule. Okay, so the 2 here is telling us, because these are all shaded, so these all are talking about where the other one is. So this 2 is in column 4, which tells us the 4 is in column 2. And so they kind of just refer to each other, I guess, in this situation, don't they? Yeah, okay. Is that always true? It would have to be, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think it would have to be. That would have to always be true. That they'd go back and forth. I haven't done enough of these to know if I'm completely off base on that or not. But okay, so the 4 here, could this be part of the 11? It could. We'd have to have room for the 6, but the 6 could be a single digit down here. So. Now this 9 down here tells us we can only have a maximum of 3 digits shaded on the bottom row. That's interesting. Oh, you know what? Okay, we can do some more 159 logic up here. It's coming back to me from doing one of these a while ago. So one thing that you figure out when you do some of this is, because this is telling us where the 1 is, and okay, I'm trying to remember. I figured this all out before, and now it's been a while. So no, that's more column logic, I guess. So here's what you can. So if these were all shaded, yeah, it's not going to be helpful yet. It's going to be more helpful when we have cells in the same column shaded, so we'll save that. I'm not going to explain it yet. I'll explain it when we get to that, because it's probably going to come up. These can be, pretty much anything at this point. We know this is, well, it's smaller than 5. because it has to be part of the 5 or the 4. It's 1, 3, or 5. I guess that's something. This has to be part of the 8 clue, because we know it's not a 1, because the 1 is up here. So this has to be part of the 8 clue, and it can't be a 3-cell 8 because it would need a 1. So it's either an 8, in which case the 1 would go over here, or it's 2-cell 8 somehow. Okay. This could be part of the 11, couldn't it? Yeah, it could. Now, if this was a 6, it would have to be 6 and 3. Oh. Right, so we said we could have a maximum of 3 cells highlighted at the bottom, but they have to be 3 consecutive cells. So using the 159 logic then, if this was a 6, it would need to have like 6, 3. But if you put a 6 here, there's a 2 over here. So this can't be a 6. In fact, this could only be a 1 or a 3. Because it's going to have to be connected to so if this is shaded, it's in column 2. It's telling us where the 2 goes in this row, which will also be shaded. Yeah, it would have to be shaded because of the negative constraint. Right. So because of the negative constraint, if this was a let's just say a 5. No, let's make it a 6. This is a 6. That's what we were checking. It would have to be shaded if it's part of the sum. That would tell us there's a 2 over here. And it would have to be shaded because it does refer back here. Because there's a negative constraint which says anytime a digit does refer to its column and it's shaded. So this could only be, if this is shaded, if it's part of the 6, it could only be a 1 or a 3. And that would put the 2 next to it. So you would have, like, yeah. And so you would only have 3 or 5. So you would need one more cell. But that one would then would have to refer to itself. That's possible, actually. This could be a 3, a 2. They kind of refer to each other, and this could be a 4, which would then be referring to itself. But this can't be a 4 because the 4 is up here. So this can't be, I don't think this can be shaded. Because if this is shaded, it can only be, no, it can be a 2. Shoot. It can refer to itself, can't it? This could be a 2, which is a kind of a self-referential 159 shaded cell. This could be a 2. No, it can't be a 2 because it's got to be part of the 6, and it would have to have a 4. And we already have a 4, so this can't be shaded. Okay, it can't be shaded. All right, which means this one can't be shaded because all the shaded cells in row 9 are going to have to be part of this 9 sum. And if this was shaded, it would have to then be a 9 because it's by itself, which would put the 1 over here, which would also have to be shaded. So this is unshaded. Okay. And now, oh, well, it's unshaded. Actually, I can unshade this one too, because we know this one is part of the 8 clue, because it can't be a 1, and it's a maximum of 2 cells. Okay, so what do we do next? So this is a 1, 3, or 5, which means these... The 5 is going to be in one of these 3 then. If this was the 5, it would need a 3 next to it. That would be okay. Could this be the 5? It would have to be part of one of the 6 clues. It would need to have a 1 with it, which would have to be here. But we can't put a 1 down here because yeah, no, you can't because this one's unshaded. If this is a 1, obviously the 1 can't be part of the 2 clue because you'd have to have 2 1s next to each other. But it can't be part of the 17 clue because you have an unshaded cell here. It would have to be a string of shaded cells. So this can't be a 1, which means this can't be a 5, which means this can't be a 3. In a roundabout way. So this, could this be, it could be a 6. It could be a 3. But it can't be part of the 6 clue unless it's a 6. Because we can't put a 1, because the 1's here. We can't put a 5 for reasons we already stated. And you can't do 2 or 4. So this is either a 3, because, yeah, again, it can't be, if it's part of the 3 clue, it has to be a 3, because it can't be a 1 or a 2. So it's either a 6 or a 3, and it's got to be a single-digit clue, either way. So we can unshade cells on either side. Now, this 3, could it be down here? It would be referring to itself. It would then need potentially a 6 here, which would put a 4 over there. That doesn't work. So 3 would have to be 1, 5 or 2, 6. But you can't do a 1 or a 2 here because it would put a digit there. Excuse me, there or there. And if it's 5, then you have a 4 there, and you'd have 3, 5, 4, which is too big. So I don't think this can be the 3. Which means it's unshaded. Now the 3 could be here, though. Wait, hold on. So I said the 3, but we said the 3 had to be a 3 up here, but if it's down here, it could be 1, 2 potentially. Except this can't be a 1 or a 2 because it would put a digit over there. Okay, so it is unshaded. All right, 17 is going to be... I mean, it could be 9 or 8. 9, 8 potentially. It would be... Now, with our 159... If it was 9, 8, that's telling us the location. So wherever the 9, 8 would be, it would be telling us those column numbers are in rows 9 and 8. So it's pretty limited. Because actually, let's say you put them right here, for example, 9 and 8. That would be telling you there's a 5 and a 6 over here, which are then also going to have to be shaded because they refer back to each other. So actually, the 17 is going to be tricky. So what can we do to make the 17? 5, 7. 5, 6, and 7 is 18. So I think the 2... Actually, let's look at the 2 before the 17. The 2 has to just be a 2, right? Wherever we put the 2, it's going to be telling us whatever column it's in, that digit is here in column 2. But if we put the 2 over here somewhere, it's going to put a digit over here in column 2. But we can't have a shaded cell to the left of the 2 because we don't have another clue over here. If we put it there, it's going to put a 1 there, and then you'd have 2. So it has to be a self-referential 2 right there. Yeah, it has to be. Okay. I think I'm getting a hang of this rule set. And look, now we got our 6 right here. It's taken a little bit of thinking through this to think of some of the implications. This is really interesting, but not super easy to see right away. Definitely not. Okay, and now, right, so we can do the same logic up here with the 1. So if the 1 is right there, it's going to put a 2 over here. But we can't do that. So this has to be a 1. Okay. Which means this is unshaded. Oh, it's also not a 1. Okay. And similarly, oh yeah, we can do, this has to be an 8. And these are all unshaded. Okay, so we got our 1 and our 8 there. Now the 8 here tells us that there is a 1 in column 8, which makes this a 5 and which means it refers to itself. So this is a 3 or a 6. If this is a 6, this would be a 3. This would be a 3, which would be okay because we've got a 3 clue up there. This is a 6, this is a 3, which would also work, I think. Okay, so we've got the 1. We've got an empty cell. Now we need to have 6 somehow. If this is a 3 and that's a 6, that does kind of work well there. If not, if this is not a 6... Not sure. Because we've got 1 degree of freedom in how many cells we're using across here. Because the 6 and the 5 can be single digits, and the 11 can be just 2. So you could have 6 gap, 11 gap, 5, and you have an extra. So I don't quite know. All right, I'm going to fill in, what are our options here? 3, 6, 7, and 9. And then let's just think about what happens if this is telling us where the 6 is. So if it's a 7, you put a 6 there. If it's a 9, you put a 6 there. But this can't be, I don't think this can be, it obviously can't be 9, because there's no way we can put a 9 in one of these. But the 7, the only thing you can put a 7 in is the 7, but if we put it here, we don't have room for the 3 and the 6 below it, so this can't be a 7. So this is a 3-6 pair. These are 7 and 9, so they either refer to themselves or each other. I don't think, I mean, from these sums, we don't know too much yet. Now, this 1 has to be part of one of these. But I don't know. So I think this 9 now either has to be 4 and 5, which would be referring to each other. So that doesn't cause any problems with creating more shaded cells. Or it's going to just have to be the 9 over here. But the 9 over here would then need, it would make this a 7, which would have to be part, the 7 would have to be part of the 8. So it would have to have a 1, which would have to be down here. And now you don't have enough space to make the 16. So this can't be a 9. So I think it has to be 5 and 4, like this. And that's going to be our 5 for this column, which works out well. And our 4 for this column, which also works out well. Okay, so we've got our 4 and our 5. We need 8 somewhere. We need 4 and 3. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. This could still be the 3, but I don't think it has to be. All right, 17 has to be the 8 and the 9, referring to themselves or each other. Doesn't it? I don't see any other way. Because if you put anything smaller over here, then they refer back over to these cells that can't be shaded. So it's got to be the 8 and the 9. Now, they could be referring to themselves or to each other. So we don't really know yet. Down here, I knew these referred to each other because of that 5, by the way. They could have been 4 and 5 otherwise. So, but this 1 has to be part of a 7 or a 9 clue. And so it's got to go with the 8. Okay, so we do know which is which there. And that gives us the 7, the 9 this way. Okay, so this is the 9 clue. So we can unshade cells on both sides. Oh, this is the 16 clue, so we can do that. This 9 now has to be it has to be the 9, because we can't put a 9 down here. So that has to be the 9. 13 is up above, so this is unshaded. This is 3 or 6. See, again, don't know. Because the 3, 6 could be 3 and 6, but it could also be 3 and 6 down here. And then 6 and 3, yeah, okay. I think that could still go either way. But this 3 or 6 has to be a single digit clue. Because the 3 can't be part of a 6, because it would have to be 3 and 3. Or 3, 2, 1. But it can't have a 2. Yep. Can't have a 2 here. Otherwise, it could be 3, 2, 1, actually. But, okay. So, what do we do now? Got the 6. We need... Should we look... Okay, so the 5. Let's think about this 5. So we know we only have 1 degree of freedom in the number of cells that we're using. So the 5 could be just a 5 in one of these two. That's possible. Let's do it this way first. It could be, it can't be 1, 4. It could be 2 and 3. If it was 2 and 3, it would have to be these last 2 cells. So but these could still be, they don't have to be 2, 3, and 5 though, because if you put the 5 here, you could have anything over there, yeah. But the 5. I don't know. Not sure on that one yet. Okay. What about 11? 11 has to be up here. Could be 2 or 3 cells though. But this one has to be shaded. We do know that much. Whether it's 2 or 3 cells, that one is going to be shaded. And so it has to be part of the 5 clue, which, so that could be a 5. It could be, so if we did 1, 4, it would have to be the 1. And if we did 2, 3, it would have to be the 3. But this is telling us where the 2 is in this column, and it can't be a 1 because this is not shaded. So the 2 could be here if that's a 3. And that would work, 3, 2. That would give us our 5. If this is a 5, then there's a 2 over here, which would have to be part of the 8 clue. I think that still works too. If this is a 3, what does that do to our 11 clue? 3, we would need 8, which could just be an 8 above or below. Or it could be, it couldn't be 1 and 7, because you can't put a 1 in here that's shaded. You can't have a 1 in here that's shaded. You could have a 1 in here, but not if it's shaded. Okay, so Where do we look next? 9. What about the 9 and the 7 up here? Maybe? So they can't both be 2 digits because we need to have a gap in between. But they could both be single digits potentially. So a 7 in here puts an 8 over here, and a 9 in here puts an 8 over here. And we do have an 8 clue up there, so a 9 with an 8 next to it would work pretty well. It would have to be up here, though, because that's the only place where we have a big enough sum to put a 9 and an 8 next to each other that are shaded. If you have a 7 with an 8 next to it, it would also have to be up here. So this has to be... Oh, but you can't put it... Right. Okay, so the 7, the only place we could put a 7 here, which would then put an 8 next to it in the next column over because of the 159 rules. Then you'd have an 8 and a 7 shaded next to each other, wherever that is. And the only place, because of the clues here, the only place we can do a clue that big is in row 1. We can't put the 7 at the top because you got to have a 9 above it. So the 7 cannot be just a 7, which means the 9 has to just be a 9 right there. And that's going to be shaded, unshaded. And now our 7 could still be... Yeah. So our 9, so that puts an 8 here. Shaded, which means these are unshaded. Now our 7 could still be just a 7. No, it can't be just a 7 because it's got to be part of a 2 or a 5 clue, wherever it is here. So it can't be just a 7. It's got to be, it can't be 1, 6. It's got to be, well, probably 2, 5, right? Yeah, because if it's 3, 4, 3 or 4 are too big to go in the 2. So it's got to be the 2 and the 5 like that, which gives us our 2 and our 5 clue. Actually, here, why don't we do this? This might be helpful. I should have thought of this earlier. I'm gonna mark the ones that are done here. That's probably a good plan. I feel like this is learn a new constraint with Scott, kind of like the gap days. I have done sort of these types before, but they're so unusual. I feel like I'm basically going into it blind. All right, so the 13 has to be at least 2 cells, so it's got to be up there. And we can't use 9 and 4. 8, 5, we can't use 8 and 5, so it's got to be 6 and 7. Actually, before we do that, we should go back here. This 2 tells us there's an 8 right there. Okay. Which is going to give us the 3 here. This is unshaded. That 3 tells us there is a 2 here, which gives us our 5 clue. 11 is done. And then the 8, that's the 8. So what else does it give us? Anything? This 2 has to be part of a 6, so this is going to have to be 4. This 5 is telling us there's an 8 right there, which has to be, oh, that's our 8. Oh, we got a whole bunch of stuff now. Okay, and the 8 has to be part of the 11, so we're going to have a 3 on either side, which we can't put on this side, so it's got to be the 3 here. The 3 here, which then is our 3 clue. And now we finally get our 6 and our 3 here. Which means these are unshaded. That's our 6 and our 3. The 3 tells us we have a 6 right here. This one's done. We're going to be able to get our 3 and our 4 up here. Okay. And now I think we've finally made our breakthrough now that I kind of figured out what I'm doing finally. All right, so this is going to have to be the 7 and the 6. 6, 9, 8 is... Oh, and that, yep, and so then that worked out perfect. This is the 7. Gets our 7 and our 13, 7 and our 30, 7, 4. We've got our 11, our 6, and our 1. So we've done all of the Japanese sums. All right, Japanese sums are done. Okay. Now, actually, and the 159 is done other than avoiding creating a new 159. We need to use the negative constraint. So All right, now it's just Sudoku. Just Sudoku. These are 1, 2, and 5. So this is 2, 5. Oh, we can't have the right. So this is 5. 1, 2, because of the 2 there. This is 6, 7, and 9. This one's 6 or 9. 7 or 9. Yep. Okay. Good. I'm just trying to make sure I avoid the 159 negative constraint issues. These are 2, 4, 7, and 9. This one can't be 2 or 4. This one can't be 2 or 4. Okay. So we get a 2, 4 pair down here, 7, 9 pair over here. Oh, and that's interesting. So we are going to have, look, so right here, this is telling us where the 2 is. So if this is a 7, if the 159, if there wasn't the negative constraint, this would be telling us there's a 2 there. So if this is a 7, this is going to have to be a 4 because we got to avoid these being 159 clues. Oh, and the 7 there. Look at that. So we get a 9 and a 7. And so now this cannot be a 2. Just like this can't be a 4. And so we get the 2 and the 4 over here because of that. So these are 1, 3, 4, 5. These can't be 4s. This one can't be 1 or 5. Oh, and these can't be 3s. So we get the 4. The 4. Now that's an 8, which means this cannot be... It's in column 8, which means this cannot be an 8. So the 8 is in here, and this one can't be an 8. So the 8 goes there. These are 1, 5, 6, and 9. This one can't be 5 or 9. This one can't be 5. If this is 5, then this can't be 9. Oh, this is 5. Isn't it? Yeah, that's the only place you can put a 5. Which means you can't put a 9 here. So it's a 1, 6 pair. That's the 9. 7, 6. The 7 here means this can't be a 3. These are 5 and 9. And the 5 down below gives us the order of those. 9, 5. This is 1, 3. Very nice. 3, 6, and 8. This one can't be 8. Or 6, sorry. This one can't be 8 or 3, so this is 6. 6. So this is the 6, which means you can't put a 9 here. Which couldn't put a 9 there anyways. These are 1 and 4. 4. This is... Yeah, okay. I think we're good on 159 issues there. The 6. These are 2, 5, and 9. This one has to be the 2. 5 and 9. Now, this is 5, this is 9. Yeah, okay. So we're okay there. Oh, look, the 4 right there. Should have seen that. And that 1 is going to give us the 6 and the 1. These are now 7 and 8, which is disambiguated by the 8 over there. These are 3 and 6. 1, 2, 9. This one can't be 2 or 9, so it's the 1. Now that being a 1 means we can't put a 6 over here, which we can't anyways. 3, 4, 7. So this is not 7. This is not 4. What are these? 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. This one can't be 5. 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one can't be 3, 4, 6. So it's the 5, 9, 5. This is not 5 or 4. It's 3, 6. We get a 3, 6 pair. Now the 5 here means this can't be a 3. Because we got to avoid the 159 issue. It's very nice. I'm glad that that negative constraint is being used. And it's not just like... sometimes you might see that, you know, just to disambiguate right at the end, there's like 2 that could be... Oh, and I just noticed this. The 3 gives us the 8 and the 3. You know, it's being used quite a bit in here, which is nice. I wonder if there's a place I could have used it earlier to help with the sums. I felt like I was just really inefficient with solving the sums thing, but You know, that's the way it goes. These are two. The Japanese sums and the 159 are both rules that are a little hard to get your head around sometimes, I think. But all right, so what do we have left here? 2 and 5, which has to be that way. It's going to give us the 9 and the 2, and the 9 will give us the 6 and the 9. These are 6 and 7, which have to be in that order. And finally, 1 and 4, like that. Your solution is correct. Hooray. Congratulations. All right, that was fun. Wow, both of those rule sets are just hard to wrap your head around, I think, especially the 159 rule. I just have the hardest time with the 159. I don't know what it is about that. It's hard to get used to that. So, and especially when it's applies to all the columns. So sometimes it's just columns 1, 5, and 9. So, yeah, very cool puzzle from Hawk Avatar. And thank you to whoever it was that I saw posted a recommendation just in general to people. I appreciate that. It was a great puzzle, very well, and it was a good. Yeah, I think it was listed as a potentially 2 out of 5. I think 2 out of 5 if you know, if you're familiar with Japanese sums and the 159 rules. If those are new or fairly new to you, like they are to me, it's probably a little bit harder, but it's definitely doable. So, good puzzle. Very nice. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of that down below, or jump over onto Discord and we can discuss it. Let me know what you think. Do you like Japanese sums? Do you like 159? Do you like the combination, or do you prefer them separate? What are your thoughts? And I'll see you again soon with another puzzle. Thanks. Bye.